Hello. So, this is where eternity sleeps. It's a visual novel game demo by Living Slime. I almost said Slime Rancher. Living Slime. And I played this a couple times already, even though it's just a demo, because I just enjoyed it so much. And I figured for today, I'd run through it one more time. One thing about this demo is that right now the production of this game is, I believe, on hiatus due to some ridiculousness of harassment done towards the developer and artist because people think they know what AI looks like when they don't. I was baffled when I saw it because every other time I've played this, I've just been marveling at the artwork because I'm an artist myself. And I could see the intent. But, anyways, brushing past that, I enjoyed this so much I want to play it again. And I really hope, with all my heart, that the developer uh, ends up revisiting this project because it is so fun. We're just gonna see. And I guess we just hop right in. How do you manifest in this world? Oh, I remembered the name I gave it last time. Avalon's one of my OCs. Avalon, you returned to me. I knew you would. I knew you'd return. I knew the threads between us could not be severed. Your light burns brighter than any flame I've seen, Avalon. I've never stopped watching, never stopped waiting. Tell me, do you still carry the name that I've come to cherish so deeply? Or has the world unmaked the name that binds you to me? Does not matter. I will always remember you, always hold you close, no matter what name you wear. Oh, so you can't. I'll just keep with what I have. Ah, then it truly is you. Your name has lingered in the quiet spaces of my mind, constant as the moon, never fading. Not once did the feeling waver, that pull, that knowing, that bond which binds us beyond name or form. To have you here again, it feels as though the world is whole once more. I have waited for you in silence, in shadows, in the moments between heartbeats. Welcome back, Avalon. The halls of Elmeric's castle soared in silence, their beauty veiled in dread. Ceilings soared in graceful arcs overhead, where the visages of long dead kings, long dead kings carved in reverent detail, lingered in a hush of eternal triumph. I think it's visage. Sunlight spilled in muted hues through the stained glass saints and sinners, casting shards of crimson and gold upon the stone. You moved through the silence, each step measured. The castle walls, once bustling with courtiers and lively with laughter, now seemed to press inward, heavy with silence. The throne room lay ahead. its grand double doors standing sentinel. Polished wood banded with iron, they towered over you, etched with scenes of the kingdom's victories. For a moment, you hesitated before them. Your hand hovered just shy of the cold metal ring that served as a handle. It wasn't fear that stopped you. Not entirely. But the weight of knowing that whatever lay beyond those doors would change everything. As the king's scholar, you were no stranger to royal summons, yet this one carried a sense of foreboding. King Anduin's message had been cryptic, but the urgency was clear. This was no routine consultation. It was a command, and failure was not an option. At the threshold stood a guard, his presence a barrier as much as the door itself. "The king awaits," he said, his voice flat and unyielding as the stone beneath your feet. Swallowing your apprehension, you nodded and took hold of the handle. The door groaned as it swung open, revealing the throne room beyond. Chandeliers hung high above their countless candles, flickering in defiance of the somber atmosphere. Marble tiles glistened softly beneath the muted light, their quiet beauty heightening the disquiet that gripped you. "Approach!" The word echoed down the length of the hall. You obeyed, bowing low before the throne. King Anduin sat atop his crimson robes, pulling around him like a tide of blood. His crown, a relic of the kingdom's golden age, seemed almost too heavy for his head. "Your Majesty." King Anduin leaned forward, his sharp gaze locking onto yours. "Do you know why I have summoned you?" His words are measured, but beneath them lurked an undercurrent of impatience. "I assume it concerns the disappearances, Your Majesty," you replied carefully, your words chosen with the precision of one walking a precarious path. "Assume." The king spat, his tone cutting like a blade. "Is that what scholars do now? Assume?" He began to pace, each footfall measured, echoing through the vast hall. "They're not just missing, scholar. They're gone. Families, entire bloodlines wiped off the face of the map, scrubbed out with a wet sleeve. Am I left to rule ghosts, empty fields, silent towns? I'm not the king of ghosts, you know." There was no mistaking the irritation in his voice, loud, biting, and impossible to ignore. He paced before you, his shadow long and looming in the flickering light. "People speak of curses, punishment for sins long buried beneath our cobbled streets. But I do not believe in curses. No, this is something else." His piercing gaze turned back to you. "This is the work of someone inside our gates. Someone who knows us, our strengths, our habits, our weaknesses. It is deliberate, methodical. They do not strike all at once. They weaken us, hollow us out, until nothing remains but ruin and fear. And obviously, it's me they're after. Who else would be worth all this trouble? Forgive the question, Your Majesty, but have the Shire Reeves been formally dispatched to investigate the disappearances? Given their jurisdiction and familiarity with the outer settlements, their reports could provide us with valuable context. King Anduin gave you a look so dry, it could parch ink. Just the puppy. Deployed? Yes. Ages ago. In royal time. Which is apparently 5 days before they decided to ghost the entire kingdom. He waved a hand in the air, theatrically annoyed. Vanished. Poof. Not a scrap of parchment or dramatic monologue left behind. I sent scouts. I sent messengers. I even sent the cavalry, for heaven's sake. Do you know how hard it is to lose an entire cavalry? So unless they're composing a very long letter from the afterlife, I'd say they've joined the list. Frankly, I'm running out of people to send who aren't either dead, terrified, or terminally incompetent. Slouched in his throne, muttering with a sigh. So tell me, scholar, since you're so clever, what would you call it? The room held its breath, still and strained as if the very air were a blade pressed to the throat of silence. He said nothing, could say nothing. His words left you questioning, your thoughts unclear. There was no answer. No name you could give it, no logic you could stitch to it. Only silence. It had started quietly, a single face missing from the marketplace, a lone farmhouse left to rot under sun and rain, then another and another. 1 became 2, 2 became 10, and 10 became towns. No blood, no screams, no shattered locks or scorched thatch. Just absence. Bread left mid-rise, stew simmering over flames that should have long gone cold, horses saddled, reined slack, staring at nothing. Whole villages, peeled open like fruit, emptied but untouched. Whatever had come hadn't acted with violence. It hadn't been chaos. It was precise, unhurried, surgical, as if they had been plucked from their very existence. You had gone over it 100 times, searching for pattern, for logic, for something that could be called motive. But the more you studied, the clearer it became. This was no work of man, nor the savagery of a beast. Nothing human could have done this. Not like this. I call it a mystery, Your Majesty. One that defies logic and reason. The king stopped abruptly, turning to face you fully. A mystery. He repeated the word like it tasted wrong on his tongue. I don't have time for mysteries. I need answers. I need truth. Something I could swing my sword at, not debate over tea. Answers won't come from steel alone, Your Majesty. Knowledge will be the blade that cuts through the unknown. King regarded you quietly, his eyes calculating. weighing the truth in your every syllable. At last he spoke, his voice firm, each word laced with unshakable determination. Yes, knowledge, truth. And yet, truth alone may not be enough. He turned away, the weight in his steps heavier now. I feel it, scholar. Someone or something's out there. I don't know what, but I know it's watching me. It's circling me. Watching. Waiting. I can feel its fingers brushing my throat every time I close my eyes. The people are afraid, and they look to their king to be the last unbroken thing. But if I fall, what then? What hope do they have if the one sworn to protect them can vanish like the rest? I will not be next. I will not be forgotten. I will outlive whatever darkness is swallowing this kingdom. The people need a king who cannot falter. The people need a king who cannot die. The chill spread through the chamber, his words wrapping around you like a cloak, heavy with their meaning. Surely he did not mean. No, such a thing was unnatural. A king beyond death. What would it take to achieve such a thing? What foul arts? Of what price? The tension was broken by the sound of a voice you knew well. Your Majesty. Sir Ansem stepped forward from the king's side. The stained glass windows bathed him in a golden light, his armor glowing as though they touched by the heavens, an ethereal presence in the room. To the court, he was the king's blade, Elmric's bravest knight. To you, he was Ansel, the boy who you had grown up with. Surely such a perilous task should not be undertaken alone. His eyes lingered, a heartbeat longer than necessary, bearing silent pleas. Concerned mixed with something deeper, an emotion he couldn't voice. His eyes were begging you to grasp the weight of his words. This is not merely about the task itself, but the dangers that lurk along the path. It would be unthinkable to send someone unguarded into such uncertainty. He turned back to the king, bowing his head slightly in deference. I will accompany the scholar, Your Majesty. Such a journey demands protection. The king turned to him, his expression darkening. His expression was one of a restrained annoyance. Ansem's suggestion was taken as a personal slight, rather than a rational precaution. You speak out of turn, Sir Ansem. Ansem straightened but held his ground. I only speak out of duty, sire. The scholar's safety is paramount. A safe return is necessary for success. The king's gaze hardened. And who will guard the crown while you play escort? King snapped, his frustration spilling into his words. You are my sword, my shield. If the shadows come for me, who will stand at my side? Ansem stiffened, his fists clenched at his sides, his usually unshakable composure beginning to waver under the weight of the king's words. The kingdom's survival, Ansem began, his voice tinged with restrained urgency, every word a careful, measured plea, begins with its king. The monarch interrupted sharply, his tone carrying the weight of finality. He stepped forward with deliberate authority, his crimson robes billowing faintly with emotion, his eyes bored to Anselm's, unyielding and expectant, daring him to push further. The tension was palpable, the silence that followed heavy with unspoken challenges. No, Anselm, you will remain here. The scholar must go alone. Anselm's jaw tightened, but he bowed his head. As you wish, sire, he said finally, though his voice betrayed his frustration. The king turned his attention back to you. The kingdom falters under this shadow. Our people cry out for hope, for assurance that their king will protect them. And to protect them, I must endure. I must be invincible, eternal. Invincibility, eternity. These were no simple matters of science or study. They were the stuff of myths, of fables. Yet the way King Anduin spoke of it, as if it were the only logical solution, made it clear that his true concern was not the kingdom. It was himself. Your Majesty. Finally, you forced yourself to respond, your voice steady but cautious. The task you ask of me, it ventures into realms of legend and impossibility. The king's lips pressed into a thin line, his eyes narrowing. Then venture there. Seek answers where mortals dare not tread. Are you not Avalon, the seeker of truths? You are the kingdom's brightest mind. Prove yourself worthy of that title, or do not return at all. The threat in his words was unmistakable, even as he couched it in the guise of royal expectation. Failure was not an option, but neither was open defiance. You bowed low, your voice steady, even as nerves tightened within you. I will do as you command, Your Majesty. The king dismissed you with a wave of his hand. Your gaze briefly met Anselm's. Though he was bound by duty, his concern for you was palpable, a silent plea that seemed to stretch across the space between you. The heavy doors groaned shut behind you, sealing you into an inescapable path. The library of the Royal Archives stood as a solemn fortress of knowledge, its towering shelves brimming with the wisdom of centuries. The air carried the faint scent of aged parchment and wax, a solemn testament to the countless scholars who had sought wisdom within these hallowed halls. Stained glass windows high above filtered the moonlight into kaleidoscope hues. Dust motes danced in the beams, drifting lazily untouched by time. This was a sanctuary of knowledge, a place where the weight of history pressed upon every surface. Yet tonight, it felt anything but serene. Your task hung over you, making the tranquil silence feel oppressively heavy. You sat at a carved oak desk, bill in hand, surrounded by stacks of parchment and books older than the kingdom itself. You prepared to confront the elusive subject of immortality. The answers you sought might have been buried in these pages, or they might not exist at all. The faint rustle of footsteps on the stone pulled your focus from the brittle pages of the tome you've been poring over. Expecting a castle attendant, you looked up and froze. Standing at the entrance was Anselm, the weight of his usual armor conspicuously absent. He wore a simple tunic, the fabric cinched at the waist by a plain leather belt. It's a rare sight to see him without his imposing metal shell. One few ever had the chance to witness. And yet, there was something strangely comforting about seeing him like this. A quiet reminder that beneath his steel and duty, he was still just a man. Anselm, you said, surprised, rising from your seat. What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be on duty? He took a few hesitant steps into the room, his eyes scanning the space to ensure no one else was present. I've done enough standing around for one day. Besides, the king is safe enough for the night. But you... He trailed off. His blue eyes were clouded with worry. I needed to see you. His hand brushed over the back of a nearby chair, but he didn't sit. Instead, he lingered a few feet away, unsure of his welcome. He sighed, setting your quill aside. You shouldn't be here. If the king finds out, let him. Ansel cut you off, stepping closer. I appreciate your concern, but you and I both know the consequences of defying the king's orders. If he knows you're here, he will raise questions neither of us can afford to answer. Damn the consequences! Ansel snapped, his sudden burst of frustration startling you. He ran his hand through his hair, pacing in front of his desk. You're poring over dusty books, preparing for a journey that no one alone should have to take. And I'm supposed to stand idly by. How can you ask that of me? Because I have no choice, he said firmly, though your voice wavered. You're familiar with the king's ways. If you disobey him, I'll be branded a traitor. Ansel finished bitterly. Yes, I know. The king may command my service, but my loyalty belongs to the one who truly matters to me. You. His words were like a stone thrown into still water, rippling through your thoughts and catching your breath in its wake. He rarely spoke so plainly, his emotions always tempered by duty. Now, stripped of his armor and titles, he stood before you not as a knight, but as the boy who had always been by your side. The boy who once stepped between you and danger, who believed in you when you couldn't believe in yourself. Anselm, he began, but he shook his head. Avalon, you're brilliant. Brightest mind this kingdom has ever seen. But brilliance does not stop blades or ward off beasts. You think I do not know the dangers you'll face? I've seen what the world can do to those who travel alone. I know the risks. But trust me, Anselm, I can handle this. No one can do this alone, not even you, he said bluntly, his eyes locking onto yours. Maybe not, he admitted softly, almost afraid to be heard. But I must. If you come with me, the king will know. It'll be the end of us. They'll punish us both, and I can't let that happen. The king's punishment means nothing to me. Failing to protect you would be a wound deeper than any blade could match. My life is yours to spend it if it keeps you from harm. You shook your head, the weight of your resolve pressing down on you. You have no idea what's out there, Ansel. The things I've read in these books, places I'll have to go to. If you come, it won't just be the king you'll have to fear. It'll be something far worse, you say, hoping to dissuade him. None of that matters to me. I would stand between you and every blade, every shadow that dares touch you. I would face it all, without hesitation, without fear, because your safety means more to me than my own life ever could. If pain must be felt, let it be mine. Even if it takes every piece of me, I would give it all just to see you at peace. As long as I live, every breath is yours. So long as my heart beats, it beats only to keep you safe. Not because I must. No matter the cost, I'd always reach for you. His throat tightens, struggling against the overwhelming tide of emotions threatening to break free. Please, Avalon, let me protect you. For a moment the room felt unbearably quiet. The only sound, the faint crackle of the torches along the walls. Anselm, I can't let you throw your life away for me. Anselm's shoulders slumped, his eyes breaking away as if seeking refuge elsewhere. Then promise me one thing. What? Promise me you'll come back. No matter what happens, no matter what you face, promise me you'll return. You hesitated, the weight of the promise threatening to crush you. I'll try. No. Not try. Promise me. You looked into his eyes, searching for the right words. I promise, you said at last, though your chest ached with uncertainty. Anselm released a steady breath, the stiffness in his body easing. Good. That's all I needed to hear. He lingered for a moment longer, his hand twitching, yearning to reach for you again. But then he stopped back, the mask of composure returning to his face. Be careful, Avalon, he said simply before turning and walking away, his retreating figure swallowed by the shadows of the archive. He stood there for a moment, staring at the spot where he had been. The ache in her chest deepened, but you pushed it aside, turning back to your books. There was no room for doubt now. The journey ahead would demand every ounce of your focus and every piece of your heart. After days of tireless searching, your body ached, and your mind felt like it teetered on the edge of exhaustion. The faint glow of the lantern cast long, flickering shadows across the forgotten stone walls. The quiet hum of the archives was a relentless companion, a monotonous drone that pressed into your thoughts as you sifted through brittle text and fragmented scriptures. The scriptures spoke of mythical armors, potions brewed under rare moons, and gods whose blessings demanded unimaginable sacrifices. None of it felt concrete. None of it felt real. The deeper you dug, the more the legend seemed like lies, spun to ensnare the desperate. Then, as your fingers brushed the edge of yet another meaningless text, the air shifted. The lantern's flame flickered wildly, as if caught in a sudden gust, though the room remained deathly still. Before the light could steady, something sharp jabbed into your palm. Ow! You hissed, drawing back. Your fingers came away smeared with blood. There, beneath where your hand had rested, the stone seemed to drink the droplets greedily. You stared, heart hammering, as lines of crimson crept into the cracks, forming a spiral pattern across the surface. The markings pulsed faintly, like veins under skin. And then, without warning, the stone beneath your feet gave way. You stumbled backward, clutching the edges of the surrounding floor to stop your fall. Below you, the slab shifted with a grinding groan, revealing a gaping hollow. At first, it looked like a simple pit, but as your eyes adjusted to the darkness, you realized it was more. A cavernous expanse, hidden beneath the archives. Stone steps spiraled downward into the hollow, uneven and ancient, carved by hands long forgotten. With careful steps, you began your descent. The hollow stretched far beyond what you could see, its edges fading into shadow. The echoes of your footfalls seemed to grow louder with every step, until it felt as if the hollow itself was amplifying your presence. The faint glint of moisture clung to jagged rock walls. There we go. This is better. The faint glint of moisture clung to jagged rock walls, and the air carried a damp, metallic tang that pricked at your senses. In the suffocating darkness below, a subtle thrum pulsed in time with your heartbeat. In the center of the hollow lay a pedestal, cradling something wrapped in decayed fabric. When you finally reached the pedestal, the object within revealed itself. A scroll, bound with what looked like sinew instead of cord. As you unrolled it with care, the symbols inscribed on the parchment seemed to shimmer faintly. The text was written in a language long forgotten by the world, its characters curving and weaving in intricate, almost hypnotic patterns. Your eyes skimmed over the cryptic text, desperately trying to pull meaning from the tangle of curves and slashes. Resources on this ancient script were scarce, almost non-existent. Few had ever seen such markings, let alone understood them. Your exposure to this forgotten language was painfully limited. Yet somehow, you managed to decipher fleeting fragments. Vinthuris Arthur Vegel Norash, endless, without birth or death. The rest defied you, a wall of mystery reinforced by the erosion of time. It was as though the text itself resisted comprehension, its secrets cloaked in layers of deliberate obfuscation and centuries of decay. Yet, despite the near impossibility of decoding it, you knew someone who might help. A scribe whose expertise in ancient tongues bordered on obsession. Renowned for unraveling cryptic texts thought impossible to decipher. This individual possessed a unique skill that could unlock fragments of meaning hidden within the faded symbols. However, even such expertise had its limits. You couldn't ignore the possibility that this script contained knowledge forever lost to the ages. The weight of the scroll felt heavy in your hands. Presence felt unsettling. It didn't belong to this world anymore, and yet it had found its way to you. With reverent hands, you coaxed the worn parchment into its torn bindings. For now, it would remain in your possession. Whatever secrets it held, whatever truths have been lost to time, you would uncover them. As you turned to leave, a faint gust of air exhaled from the hollow itself, brushing past your neck. A shiver ran down your spine as the whisper touched your neck, soft, sorrowful, and far too close. It scared you. The scroll remained firmly in hand, and the decision to leave this haunted hollow was made without hesitation. The answers would come, but you couldn't shake the feeling that they would demand more than you were ready to give. The scroll sat snugly at the bottom of your pack, wrapped in cloth to shield it from the elements. Around it you had packed only the essentials. Dried rations, a flask of water, a hunting knife, and a few light cooking utensils, just enough to prepare basic meals over a fire. A small coin pouch rested in the corner of your pack, holding what little gold you had managed to save. The last item you added was a map of Windraw, its edges frayed and torn from countless hands that had touched it before yours. The landmarks were faint, but you committed them to memory, trusting it would guide you if needed. Traveling light was the necessity. Ansem was usually the one to carry your belongings during expeditions, its quiet insistence sparing you from much of the burden. But now, without him, you had to carefully consider every item. You didn't want to weigh yourself down unnecessarily. Just didn't even consider what you were packing, just remorsefully using Ansem as a pack mule. This poor guy. Okay. The morning air was sharp and cool as you neared the kingdom's gates, their towering iron structure adorned with ancient protective runes. The path beyond beckoned, shrouded in uncertainty. But just as your hand brushed the gate's cold surface, a familiar voice halted you. Leaving so soon? You turned sharply, your heart skipping a beat. There, standing just a few paces away, was Ansem. The knight's armor caught the pale light of dawn, polished to a mere sheen. Though polished and proud, the armor seemed almost at odds with the worry etched across his face. The royal knight bound to the king's side, Ansem rarely had the luxury of tending to matters outside the castle walls. Yet, here he was. "Where are you heading?" he asked, his eyes falling to the pack slung over your shoulder. "To the blind forest." His reaction was instant, his calm facade vanishing, replaced by an expression of alarm. His hand instinctively brushed the hilt of his sword as though he might shield you from the very idea. The blind forest. That cursed place. Why would you set foot there of all places? Because I have to, Ansem. There's someone I need to find. Ansem's hand fell away from his sword, but the worry remained. Ooh. Miriam. The name hung in the air like a blade unsheathed. A flicker of unease passed across his expression. Miriam. Miriam the outcast. He paused, his voice taking on a note of disbelief. You mean the one they say whispers to shadows and scribbles madness onto paper? Some even claim she's cursed. You felt your chest tighten at his words, a rush of anger surging through you. She's not cursed. You shot back, your voice rising. She's brilliant. And more than that, she's my friend. Anselm's jaw clenched as he searched your face, his disbelief slowly turning into a resigned sigh. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insult her. I just... Okay. Siri. No. Stop. The stories about her. About that place. None of it ends well. Your heart pounded in your chest, the familiar sting of offense creeping up your throat. She's not a monster, Ansem. And she's the only one who can help me. He sighed, a look of frustration and concern painting his features. I won't lie to you. I'm worried. Before he could say more, the sound of hurried footsteps drew your attention. The royal guard approached, bowing deeply. Sir Ansem, the king summons you at once. Ansem muttered a curse under his breath. He casted an apologetic look your way. Wait. Without another word, he reached beneath his armor, his fingers brushing against something hidden beneath the metal. He pulled free a pendant that hung from a simple chain around his neck. Its modest design, at odds with the powerful emotions he seems to be battling. The pendant was elegant in its simplicity. Nothing more than a small silver disc with intricate carvings etched into its surface. To anyone else, it would seem like an ordinary piece of jewelry, but to Ansem, it was far more. It was a part of his past, a piece of his mother's legacy. This belonged to my mother, Ansem said softly, holding it out to you, his fingers trembling slightly as he extended it. She always watched over me, and now I want her to watch over you. You stepped back, your heart heavy with the weight of his words. Ansem, no, I can't take that. It's too important to you. It is important, he insisted, his voice resolute. That's why it belongs with you. I want a part of me to be with you always. This is my vow, a thread that binds us. Even when fate pulls us apart, no matter how far you go, no matter what path you take, you'll never be truly alone. Because with every heartbeat, every breath, he held it gently to your chest, just over your heart, his fingers warm and trembling. I'll always be with you. The silence that settled was soft, delicate, and heavy with unsaid words. The guard who had been waiting for Ansem blinked, visibly startled by what he had just witnessed. He stared at Ansem in stunned disbelief. This was the kingdom's renowned knight, a man celebrated for his unwavering composure and iron resolve in the face of danger. He, who stood like a fortress to all, now flickered with something fragile, like a flame behind glass. Ansem, suddenly aware of the guard's gaze, cleared his throat, a nervous tic betraying his flustered state as he tried to disguise the pink coloring his cheeks. Oh, look at you blushing like a bashful maiden. Should I fetch you a handkerchief, Sir Ansem? A strangled noise came from the guard, somewhere between a cough and a laugh. He quickly covered his mouth, but it was too late. Ansem turned a slow, withering gaze towards the guard, who immediately found the stone wall very interesting. Ansem's attempt at a rebuttal fell silent, his jaw moving without a sound. His ears, however, burned a traitorous red, glowing like embers beneath his tousled hair. He drew in a steady breath, shoulders lifting before settling into a familiar, composed stance. He met your gaze once more, and in place of shyness, there bloomed something earnest. Promise me you'll return. I promise. Ansem gave you a long, searching look, then nodded. Take care, Evelyn. A crack in his tone betrayed a moment of unguarded emotion. And with that, he turned and followed the guard, disappearing into the castle's shadows. You slipped the pendant into your pocket, its presence a quiet reminder of the promise you made. Stealing one last glance at the castle's towering silhouette, you turned towards the path ahead. With Anselm's pendant close to your heart, and the promise of your return, you knew there was no turning back. Your journey had begun. The path stretched before you, winding through fields of emerald under a golden sun. The sunlight bathed the world in a honey glow, turning every blade of grass into a shimmering thread. And for the first time in years, you allowed yourself to truly see it, to feel it. Tall grass rippled in waves, whispering against the breeze, while wild flowers peeked through the green like scattered jewels. You hadn't realized how much you had missed this. Most of your life had been spent within its towering spires and stone corridors. Buried in studies or council meetings, your hands ink-stained from maps and treaties. Even the expeditions outside the kingdom were merely extensions of your work. But here, now, standing in this sea of green, you could almost feel the world breathing again. You could almost feel yourself breathing again. The grass danced in the breeze, whispering against your fingertips. The sun bathed your skin in its gentle heat, a tender reminder of its presence. Each inhale brought the fragrance of earth and blooms, filling your chest with something beyond air. Peace. Closing your eyes, you tipped your face towards the sun and let a quiet whisper escape your lips. I've missed this. The wind seemed to carry your words away. In the rustling leaves and shifting grass, you could almost hear the world breathe back. Welcome home. You didn't just walk the earth. You were part of it. Yet the serenity carried an undertone of fragility. As you pressed farther, the beauty began to fade. The rippling glass quieted, its whispers replaced by an unnatural stillness. The world, once alive, began to feel hollow. A village appeared in the distance, quiet and still beneath a gray sky. The cottages stood neatly in place, untouched, and too pristine for how utterly empty everything felt. Children didn't laugh. Animals didn't stir. The air held no voices, no warmth. Chimneys stood cold. Windows stared back with nothing behind them but shadow. Left behind, but not forgotten. The dirt paths were smooth, undisturbed, the ground offering no clues of presence. The village lay still, preserved in an eerie stasis. But something in their silence stirred, as if they marked your passing. You quickened your pace, your boots crunching against the gravel that seemed too loud in the stillness. Your thoughts drifted to the rumors whispered back in the kingdom. Stories passed from lips softened by ale but sharpened by fear. Of all the tales, one lingered in your mind. It sang where stars won't gleam, a thread of sorrow in a dream. It touched the walls, then brushed the skin, and called to something deep within. It cried in chords the heart could feel, a mourning no one could quite conceal. One by one they left the light, to drown in grief beyond the night. No hands were found, no doors unlatched, just hearts that heard and hearts it snatched. And when the hush returned once more, it held no trace of those before. Couldn't help but remember that voice, the sound that unsettled you to your core. You shook the thoughts away, unwilling to let it take hold. Even in daylight, the unease hung in the air, heavy, watchful, and unrelenting. After hours of trekking in silence, the soft murmur of running water finally shattered the heavy stillness, drawing you towards a narrow stream that meandered through the landscape. Its clear waters glistened, inviting you to pause and replenish your flask. You knelt by the stream, the cold water chilling your fingers as you reached down to fill your flask. For a brief moment, the soft gurgle of the stream brought you a sense of calm, a reprieve from the growing unease. But then, your eyes were drawn to it lying just beneath the stream's edge, half hidden in the tall grass. It was a rabbit. Its small body was still, unnervingly so, with fur matted and stained dark. The closer you looked, the more horrifying the details became. Its stomach had been torn open, its insides grotesquely exposed. The wounds looked fresh, as if whatever had done this was still nearby. A pang of sorrow twisted in your chest, but it was quickly overshadowed by a darker thought. This is how fragile life is. The sight filled you with a cold dread, a stark reminder of how cruel and unforgiving the world could be. The rabbit, so helpless, so vulnerable. It was a brutal mirror showing you how easily you too could be reduced to nothing. You quickly averted your eyes, unwilling to linger any longer on the pitiful scene. Just as you were about to turn away, something shifted. You froze, the hair on the back of your neck standing on end. The rabbit's body hadn't moved at all. It remained still, unnaturally so. But its eyes, its lifeless eyes, unstaring blankly at the sky, were now fixed on you. They were devoid of life, yet they bore into you with an unnatural intensity. A sharp, visceral fear clawed its way up your throat. Then came the voice. It wasn't your imagination. A voice so faint yet so undeniable that it sent a chill down your spine. Avalon. The voice wasn't outside of you. It was inside you, boiling through your thoughts like a predator circling its prey. You stumbled back, your flask slipping from your hands and splashing into the stream. The rabbit's head twitched. Its lifeless mouth sagged open as if it were about to speak. You wanted to move, to run, but your legs felt rooted to the ground. You finally heard me. After all this time. Avalon. Oh, Avalon, Just as it suddenly began, it stopped. The rabbit's eyes fell shut. Still, dead, silent. You staggered to your feet, your breath coming in short, ragged gasps. The rabbit remains motionless, lifeless, but you couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching you. The world seemed to shudder under a heavy darkness, bending its will towards you. A deafening crack of thunder shattered the moment. The skies erupting as rain began to pour in torrents. The storm seemed to erupt out of nowhere, drenching you in seconds. You jerked upright, adrenaline coursing through your veins. You snatched up your flask with trembling hands, stuffing it into your pack before turning on your heel. But even as you left the stream behind, the voice lingered in your mind, its sinister echo clinging to your thoughts like a shadow you couldn't shake. The rain didn't just soak you. It clawed at your skin, seeping through every layer of fabric, determined to pull you under. Each step felt heavier than the last, your boots sinking into the muck of the sodden ground. Through the chaos, a faint glimmer of light appeared, waving like a mirage. You squinted through the rain as the glow resolved itself into the outline of a town. A tavern caught your eye in the distance. Its crooked sign swung violently above the warped door, creaking under the storm's fury. The promise of shelter drew you forward. Your feet moved instinctively. When you finally made it to the tavern, it wasn't safety that welcomed you, just the dull acceptance that anything was better than being out in the storm. The door creaked on its rusty hinges as you pushed it open, and a wave of heat and muffled voices spilled out to meet you. You stepped inside, dripping water onto the warped floorboards, the doors slamming shut behind you with a gust of wind. A deathly hush fell over the tavern, making you tremble. The entire tavern seemed to pause, suspended in anticipation of your next move. Eyes flickered your way, sizing you up, before quickly darting back to their drinks. Whatever fragile sense of safety the tavern offered, it came with an edge, sharp and unwelcoming. You kept your head down, shoulders hunched, moving toward an empty table near the corner of the room. The gazes that followed you felt like daggers pricking at your back, silent but sharp. You didn't need to look at to know what they were thinking. You don't belong here. You checked your map. Your finger traced the path you've taken, only for your finger to land on a place you dreaded. Rotwood. A name had been scrawled on your map, but no amount of ink could capture the oppressive weight of this place. Lying on the outskirts of the eastern forests, it had become a haven for those the world had spat out: bandits, poachers, and outlaws. Not because it was safe, but because here, the strong ruled, and the weak learned to disappear. The noise of the room ebbed and flowed around you, but your focus was on keeping still, drawing no attention. Your hand twitched towards the map again, but you stopped yourself. It was better not to look lost. Are you lost, little lamb? The voice startled you, low and honey with a sly undertone that immediately put you on edge. You looked up to find a man standing over you, his grin sharp and his eyes sharper. Oh, jeez. He's there, okay. Name's Clyde, he said, sliding into the seat across from you without invitation. His smile widened as he propped an elbow on the table, leaning closer. And you are? Just passing through. You forced a tight smile, though every instinct screamed at you to get up and leave. He chuckled, as though amused by some private joke. Passing through? Sweetheart, you don't look like you belong anywhere near Rotwood. This isn't exactly a place for delicate creatures. His gaze lingered a little too long, tracing over you in a way that made your stomach churn. Ugh. I can handle myself, you replied tightly, doing your best to project confidence. Oh, I don't doubt that, he said, the corner of his mouth curling up in a smirk. But a pretty thing like you, wandering alone, that's bound to draw attention. Luckily for you, you caught my attention. And trust me, lamb, that's the best thing you could have happened to you tonight. He signaled the barmaid with a lazy wave. 2 drinks, something strong for my new friend here. You shook your head, sliding the bug back toward him. No, thank you. Clyde's grin froze. For a moment, the air between you felt like it might snap. Oh, come on now, he said, his voice syrupy sweet, but with an edge that made the hairs on your arms stand. Don't be like that. It's just a drink from me. I don't want it. Oh God, his grin stretched wider, but it didn't feel like a smile anymore. You don't want it? He leaned forward, elbows resting on the table, and you could feel the weight of his gaze pinning you in place. Or you don't want it from me. You shook your head quickly, trying to keep the atmosphere from thickening any further. That's not, I didn't mean it like that. I'm not trying to make things personal, you said quickly, hoping to diffuse whatever this was turning into. Funny. It feels personal. He tilted his head, studying you like a puzzle he was itching to take apart. You sit here all quiet and polite, like you're too good to share a drink with me. Like you're too good for this place. Too good for people like me. That's not it. You swallowed hard, keeping your voice calm and measured. I don't drink, is all. You forced a polite smile, your fingers curling tightly around the fabric of your cloak under the table hidden from view. Clyde chuckled low in his throat, the kind that seeped under your skin. That's it, huh? Whittle lamb doesn't drink? He nodded firmly, masking the storm of nerves brewing within you. Or you just don't trust me. Afraid I might put something in your cup? He leaned in closer, his breath warm and unsettlingly intimate against your skin. Ugh. You think I'd need to? Darling, if I wanted you under my thumb, I wouldn't need tricks. I think I'll take my leave, you said, rising from your seat, but Clyde was faster. His hand darted out, fingers wrapping around your wrist. Not tight, but firm enough that you knew he could stop you if he wanted. Sit down. His voice carried a quiet menace that rippled through you like a cold breeze. His eyes bore into you, unrelenting and filled with dark intensity that made it impossible to look away. I don't like it when people walk away from me, especially when I've been nothing but nice. He's just a nice guy. You hesitated, your heart thundering in your chest as you tried to calculate how far you could push him without sparking something worse. I'm not looking for any trouble, you said carefully, easing back into your seat. Clyde's grip loosened, but his fingers lingered longer than they needed to, brushing your skin before he finally let go. Good. 'Cause, sweetheart, trouble doesn't need an invitation. And neither do I. He leaned back, his posture deceptively relaxed, though his eyes never left yours. You don't get it, do you? He said, almost conversationally. When you walk into a place like this, someone's bound to claim you. If it's not me, it'll be someone worse. His smile sharpened, his teeth bared in something that wasn't quite a grin. But don't worry. I've got a soft spot for little lambs who don't know any better. I can take care of myself. You forced the words out, trying to sound more confident than the hammering of your pulse allowed. Clyde laughed, with just enough amusement to make it unnerving. Oh, sweetheart, his voice dropping to a murmur meant only for you. You wouldn't last a day. Lucky for you, I'm feeling generous. His gaze dipped to your hands, folded tightly in your lap, and then back to your face. You stick close to me, and no one will touch you. No one but me, of course. Before you could even process his words, the sharp bark of the tavern owner's voice sliced through the tense air, snapping your attention away. Fine! The hulking man stood behind the bar, arms crossed and eyes like steel. If you're going to cause a scene, do it outside. I didn't look away from you, his grin tightening into something mean. Just having a friendly chat, old man. He drawled through the tension in his shoulders, betraying his irritation. The owner's gaze didn't waver. Now. The low hiss, breath through his teeth, Clyde pushed back from the table, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. He stood, towering over you for a moment before he leaned down, his lips brushing just close enough to make your skin prickle. Be careful now, little lamb. This place has a way of swallowing up the weak. And me? I don't like sharing. He straightened, casting one last smirk at the tavern over before sauntering towards the door. It slammed shut behind him, leaving the room with a heavy silence. The owner shook his head, his expression softening as he turned to you. You're not from around here, are you? You shook your head, Clyde's parting words still heavy in your mind. The owner sighed, setting his rag aside. You best watch your step. That one's trouble, especially when he doesn't get his way. If he set his sights on you. He trailed off, the rest of the warning hanging unspoken in the air. Nodding, gathered your things and stepped outside. The muddy path leading away from the tavern glistened faintly under the pale moonlight, the remnants of the storm pulling in small puddles at your feet. Crossed on the road, glancing back towards the faint glow of Rotwood's lanterns in the distance. The thought of staying at a nearby inn had crossed your mind. A warm bed, a roof over your head. It would have been a tempting option under different circumstances. After what happened today, the idea left a bitter taste in your mouth. The inns were no exception, just another extension of the town's opportunistic underbelly. No, you thought, shaking your head. You tightened your cloak around you and started walking. The woods, wild and untamed as they were, felt safer than any inn in Rotwood. At least in the forest, the threats were honest. You turned back towards the path leading into the forest, leaving the faint glow of Rotwood behind. The woods welcomed you, with their quiet stillness. This is pretty. The towering trees stretched high above, their sprawling branches interwoven into a canopy that filtered the moonlight into thin, silver streams. Solitude in the wilderness was far preferable to risking another moment in a place where danger wore a friendly face. After trekking through the dense underbrush and weaving between towering trees, you finally came upon a small clearing. It was tucked far enough away from the road to promise solitude, yet open enough to make a fire without worry. With a weary sigh, you dropped your pack, allowing the tension in your shoulders to ease. Your hands worked automatically, gathering branches and dry kindling from the forest floor. The soft crunch of leaves underfoot and occasional snap of twigs were the only sounds accompanying you in the clearing. Soon, a small fire crackled to life, flames licking the air with a warm, golden glow. I love this image right here with just the colors of the warm center and everything else is in cold scale. The heat seeped into your chilled skin, easing some of the tension coiled in your shoulders. Shadows dancing, like fleeting phantoms along the edge of the clearing, their movements casting an air of mystique over the quiet forest. From your pack, you pulled out a small bundle of dried vegetables, their earthy aroma faint as you measured them carefully into your palm. The small pot balanced precariously over the fire as you filled it with water and stirred the mixture with slow, deliberate movements. Steam rose in lazy spirals, vanishing into the cool night air as the faint scent of cooking wafted around you. The rhythmic bubbling of the pot filled the silence, blending seamlessly with the occasional rustle of leaves stirred by the wind. Your gaze flickered toward the shadows surrounding the clearing, even as you tried to focus on the soothing repetition of stirring the soup. There was a lingering unease pricking at the edges of your awareness. Something about the vast, open darkness felt alive, though the wolves were watching, waiting. As the soup neared completion, a sound broke through the quiet. You froze, the wooden spoon pausing mid-stir. The noise had been low, guttural, and almost too loud to be yours. You instinctively pressed a hand to your abdomen, but the sensation was absent. Huh. Oh God, the growl you heard did not come from you. You weren't alone. Oh, I'm gonna save just in case. I don't recall this happening last time I played. The realization crept in slowly like ivy threading through the cracks. It wound around your ribs, pressing tighter with each frantic beat of your heart. You strained to hear something, anything, but the woods have gone too still, like a stage just before the curtain rise. Even the fire seemed too quiet. Its crackling dulled to a whisper as if it afraid to draw attention. The sound of your breath was loud in your ears, and yet the world around you felt impossibly quiet. You glanced over your shoulder, the woods beyond the clearing dark and thick. The forest, once just a backdrop to your evening, had become a wall of darkness. The trees stood tall and silent, their limbs twisted in unnatural shapes, casting long, clawed shadows that reached towards you like they meant to drag you in. The shadows shifted, stretching into monstrous figures, hulking shapes with twisted and inhuman mouths gaping into crooked silence, eyes sunken deep. Oh my God! This definitely didn't happen last time I played. You felt them. Eyes cold, unblinking, intelligent, watching. The memory of Clyde lingered like a splinter beneath your skin. His words from the tavern echoed in your mind, sharp and cold. After what happened with him, every shadow felt sharper, every sound too loud. Now here you were, alone. Or not. Every rustle in the trees, every creak of the earth beneath your feet had you tensing, waiting for the next move. Could it be him? Had he sent someone after you? Oh, shite! A faint rustle broke through the silence, brief but sharp, enough to make your skin crawl. Your hand drifted to the ground beside the fire pit, fingers closing around a nearby rock. It was heavy, uneven, its surface rough with patches of old moss. Primitive, unremarkable, but solid. Something real to hold on to, something to brace yourself with just in case. The soup simmered beside you, its bubbles rising and popping with quiet rhythm. The smell of herbs and brewed vegetables hung in the air like a ghost of comfort. Even that felt strange now, wrong, too warm, too inviting, like bait. You rose slowly, your body tense with every emotion, every muscle in your body coiled tight. You sang. You stepped towards the edge of the clearing, rock gripped tight. I want to hold on to it, right? In case they come for me. Hold up. Okay. As you stood at the edge of the clearing, rock in hand, you forced yourself to breathe slow, steady. The fire still crackled behind you, the scent of the broth still hanging in the air. If danger were truly near, wouldn't the birds have scattered? Maybe it had just been an animal passing through, or the wind shifting the brush. You exhaled slowly. Not everything was a warning. Not every sound was a threat. It was okay to breathe. It was okay to stand still. Maybe it was just your nerves playing tricks. After all, fear had a way of dressing up the ordinary into monstrous shapes. As you convinced yourself it was nothing, a memory surfaced. How, without fail, every time your stomach grumbled, Ansel would immediately take notice. No matter the time or circumstance, he'd insist on preparing something for you, often teasing you lightly before presenting a dish with a warm smile. The memory brought a soft chuckle to your lips, a gentle wave of gratitude filling your chest. You let the thought stay with you a while longer, its warmth easing the unease in your heart. Smiling to yourself, you turned your attention back to the task at hand, feeling a little less alone. The soup was a welcome comfort, simple, warm, and soothing. You savored each bite, letting the heat work its way through your tired body. You edged closer to the fire, stretching out beside it for warmth. Once your meal was finished, you took time to arrange a makeshift bed in the clearing. Piles of dry leaves were gathered and layered carefully, forming a soft mound to cushion the forest floor. Your cloak draped over the leaves provided an added barrier against the dampness. Pack became your pillow, its warm fabric stiff but familiar for you to settle on. For a while, you simply lay there staring up at the sky. The canopy above was dotted with stars, their light breaking through the gaps in the trees like 1,000 tiny beacons. It was breathtaking. Countless stars filled the sky, but tonight it made space just for you. Each constellation seemed to pulse faintly. Jim just thought about barking. You let your mind wander, imagining the stars as watchful guardians. Their steady presence a silent reassurance that despite everything, this night would pass. Exhaustion settled over you like a heavy blanket, yet you couldn't tear your gaze away from the sky. The fire's warmth at your back and the star's gentle glow above created a harmony that made you feel a semblance of peace. Finally, your eyelids grew heavy, the stars blurring into soft smudges of light as sleep began to claim you. Tonight, the woods felt safer than anywhere else. Surrounded by the quiet of the woods and the endless beauty of the night sky, you let yourself sink into the stillness, carrying the memory of the starlit canopy with you into your dreams. The fire's warmth that coaxed you into a deep, dreamless sleep. Its crackling rhythm your lullaby beneath the open sky. But serenity was ripped away as a crushing weight suddenly bore down on you, stealing the breath from your lungs. You woke up with a start, your chest heaving against an unbearable pressure that pinned you to the earth. Panic clouded your mind, and every instinct screamed for you to move, to fight back, but your limbs refused to obey. You forced your eyes open, fear racing through your veins like ice. Oh my gosh! This was not what I got last time. Last time I played this, spoiler, I guess, but last time he was dead. This is not the case now. I'm very uncomfortable. Clyde. The man from the tavern hovered above you, his shadowy figure blotting out the dim flicker of firelight. His hands gripped your wrists with unrelenting strength, pressing you down as if you were a doll. No matter how much you squirmed, his weight was immovable, his dominance absolute. Look at you. Squirming already. Haven't even gotten started yet, little lamb. Get off me! Spat, twisting beneath him, but the effort only made his grin grow wider. Oh, sweetheart. His knees dug mercilessly into your sides, and a sharp stab of pain shot through you, stealing the air from your lungs. Squirm all you like. You're not going anywhere. Keep fighting. I promise I'll only grip you tighter. And you love it when I do. What do you want? You demanded. The fear in your voice betrayed the defiance you were trying to summon. He chuckled, leaning in closer, his face hovering inches above yours. I thought that was obvious. He tilted his head, feigning curiosity, though his smirk betrayed his amusement. From the moment I saw you, his eyes roamed over your body, dark and predatory. I knew I had to have you. And now, you're out here? All alone? It's almost like you wanted me to find you. You followed me, you accused, the defiance in your voice faltering beneath the weight of your terror. Oh, darling, I didn't have to. That cozy little fire of yours was just begging for company. Were you waiting for me to share it with you? I don't have anything. Take my gold, take whatever you want. Just leave me alone. And what would I do with your scraps of gold? Releasing your wrist, his hand trailed over your shoulder, lingering there before his fingers traced the delicate curve of your collarbone. Ugh. What I want is something delicate, something that bends under my touch. His fingers trailed down to your chest, lingering with deliberate slowness. No, no, darling. I'm here for you. Please. You begged, tears pricking at the corner of your eyes as his touch slid down to your chin, tilting your face toward him. Don't do this. Oh, don't stop now, he purred, his tone mockingly tender. Go on, let me hear you. Beg me to stop. Don't hold back now. Scream if you want. Cry if you have to, but don't stop begging. I want to savor every little plea. The way your voice shakes, the way your body trembles. It's intoxicating. Do you have any idea what you're doing? You clenched your eyes shut, bracing for what was coming, his weight pressed heavier against you, his breath hot against your skin. Look at you. Given up already? Good. It's better this way. I always get what I want. And what I want is you. Every piece of you, every broken, trembling piece. He murmured, his lips ghosting along your neck. So stop fighting it, darling. No one will hear you. No one is coming to save you. His hand drifted lower, fingertips brushing over your ribs before dragging deliberately along the curve of your side. His touch unhurried and claiming, savoring the way your body flinched under him. No one is taking you away from me. His fingers curling just enough to press into the skin of your hip. Ooh, you're all mine. Every ounce of hope drained away, leaving only despair as you accepted your helplessness. And then... Oh. A sharp whistle tore through the air, slicing the tension in an instant. Clyde's body jolted violently above you, his breath hitching in a choked gasp, before his weight slumped forward, crushing you beneath him. A wet thud accompanied his collapse. You opened your eyes to the horrifying sight of an arrow buried deep between his eyes. Blood streaming from the wound, the jagged shaft protruding grotesquely from his skull, its fletching still quivering from the impact. Oh no, why? He whispered, your voice shaking as you shoved his lifeless body off of you, your hands trembling. His dead eyes stared blankly upward, his smirk frozen in grotesque mockery. Blood pooled beneath him, soaking into the dirt, the metallic tang sharp in the air. Everything had happened so quickly. Your mind struggled to keep up. Forcing yourself to your feet, your legs wobbled beneath you as you scanned the dark woods around the clearing. And just at the edge of the clearing, a faint glint caught your eye. Cold, reflective sheen of a blade. The figure holding it lingered for only a moment before disappearing soundlessly into the forest. Your heart pounded, your body frozen as you stared into the darkness. Whoever had saved you. We interrupt this tense moment with puppy barks. You good? Shall we continue? Alright. Whoever had saved you, or killed Clyde, rather, was gone, vanishing as silently as they had come. The thought chilled you to your core. The fire crackled softly behind you, but its warmth no longer offered any comfort. What had once been a sanctuary now felt like a trap. Force closing in around you with unseen eyes and hidden threats. You kicked dirt onto the fire, extinguishing its light as quickly as you could. Fear gnawed at you, urging you to move, to flee from the clearing and its lingering sense of danger. Wrapping your coat tightly around yourself, you found a towering tree with thick roots, curling upward like a cradle. Huddled beneath it, curling into a ball against the cold earth. Your heart racing as you tried to make sense of it all. Sleep didn't come easily, and when it did, it was fitful at best. Every rustle of leaves, Every whisper of wind felt like a phantom presence leaving you on the edge. Why are you licking your paws? Jiminy. Stop. Wrong button. The woods once wild. The woods, once wild but honest, now felt as treacherous as rockwood itself. To be continued. I wonder if I can go back to the inn to see if I can get that route that I had. Oh, it won't let me go back any further. Okay. So go back to the beginning. Okay. I think last time I said that's not necessary. That's not necessary, he said quickly. But he waved off your protest. Don't be shy. Come on, it's just a drink. Don't go breaking my heart, will you? He purred, sliding closer till your knees almost touched. I insist. What kind of man would I be if I didn't treat a beautiful stranger to a drink? The barmaid? I almost said the marmaid. The barmaid returned with 2 mugs, placing them on the table. He pushed one towards you, his fingers brushing yours deliberately. Go on, drink up. It'll take the chill out of your bones. Or would you rather let me warm you up myself? You hesitate, but the smug glint in his eyes dared you. Reluctantly, you took a sip, the fiery liquid burning your throat. He watched you with an almost predatory fascination, his grin widening as he set the mug down. There it is. A little color in those cheeks. Told you it'd help. So, he drawled, leaning back in his chair, his arm now casually draped over the back of your seat. What's a sweet thing like you doing out here all alone? Don't tell me you've got a death wish. I'm traveling, he replied curtly, hoping your short answers would discourage him. Well, aren't you intriguing? Travelers don't usually come this way without reason. He leaned closer, the faint smell of ale on his breath. Let me guess, looking for something or someone? Maybe someone tall, handsome, and conveniently sitting right in front of you? His fingers drummed lightly on the table, rhythm slow, deliberate. His arm slid a little closer to your shoulders and you stiffened. Neither, you said firmly, shifting in your seat to put a little more distance between you. Huh, you've got a sharp tongue, little lamb. I like that. Most folk around here either run or fawn, but you stand your ground. Cute. So tell me. He tilted his head, smile curling wider. You ever thought about staying somewhere a little safer? Maybe somewhere I could keep an eye on you? I'm fine, thank you. Fine, huh? Now that's just cruel, lamb. Could have had some fun, you and me. You don't know what you're missing. But I get it. Playing hard to get makes the prize even sweeter. He winked, his grin widening. I like the ones with a little fight in them. Makes the chase more exciting. But you don't have to pretend around me, sweetheart. That whole Tough act. Hmm. It's adorable. Let me take the weight off those pretty little shoulders of yours. He breathed the word against your ear, his hand settling lightly on your thigh just above your knee, thumb brushing small circles. One night with me, and you'll forget you ever wanted to leave. Ugh. Before you could respond, the tavern door cracked open, and a lanky, anxious-looking man rushed in, his clothes soaked from the storm. He spotted your companion immediately and made a beeline for the table. "Boss!" The lackey stammered, his voice trembling. Someone's here to see you, boss." I didn't even spare him a glance. "Then deal with it. Can't you see I'm busy?" He gestured towards you with a lazy smirk. "I've got company." Lackey swallowed hard, his eyes darting nervously between you and his boss. He leaned in closer and whispered, but you overheard him clearly. "But boss, it's someone from the Royal Vanguard. He specifically asked for you, and it said it's urgent." That finally got his attention. His smile vanished, replaced by a scowl as he turned to glare at the lackey. "I thought he told you idiots to take care of it." The lackey fidgeted, his face pale. "We did, but..." "Useless," he snapped, shoving his chair back as he stood abruptly. His hands slammed against the table, making you flinch. "Every last one of you. Useless." He turned back to you, his grin returning, though it was sharper now, less amused and more calculated. "Don't go anywhere, lamb. I'll be right back." Before you could respond, he stormed out of the tavern, his lackey scrambling after him like a scolded dog. The door slammed shut behind them, leaving you alone at the table, your pulse racing. You stayed frozen for what felt like an eternity, the tension in your chest threatening to choke you. Minutes passed, but he didn't return. Seizing the opportunity, you slipped out of your chair, moving towards the door as inconspicuously as possible. Every step felt like a gamble, but you made it outside without incident. The air hit you like a wall as you stepped outside. The silence was unsettling, a stark contrast to the storm you were expecting. Ugh. This is what I remember. Clyde's body. "Oh, puppy!" Wow, there's a decapitation on my screen. She made the cutest little noise. Which means I can turn this back on. Here's some eye bleach for you. There we go. Couldn't quite get it registered for some reason for a moment. She came back. The headless corpse lay sprawled in the mud at your feet, grotesquely twisted, carelessly discarded. Blood gushed from the jagged stump of his neck, pulling thickly in the rain-soaked earth, before spilling out in dark rivulets, winding like sinister veins towards the gutter. His lifeless form was unnervingly still, yet the violent scene around him felt alive. Your breath caught. Your legs threatened to buckle. Fear clawed at your mind, but there was something else too. Relief. You didn't linger. Turning away from the grisly sight, you moved towards the edge of the village, your pace quickening with each step. It wasn't until you reached the town's exit that you noticed them. The man's lackeys, standing in the open, their eyes locked onto you, wide with terror for a moment. You thought they might chase you. Ah! But then they ran. No, after you. Away from you. Their horrified expressions lingered in your mind as you pressed onward, damp ground squelching underfoot. Whatever had happened, whoever had killed that man, you weren't going to wait to find out. Rain had stopped, but the storm hadn't truly passed. You just had to keep moving. The muddy path leading away from the tavern glistened faintly under the pale moonlight, the remnants of the storm pulling in small puddles at your feet. You paused on the road, glancing back towards the faint glow of the rotwood lanterns in the distance. Thought of staying at a nearby inn had crossed your mind. Warm bed, a roof over your head. It would have been a tempting option under different circumstances. After what happened today, the idea left a bitter taste in your mouth. The inns were no exception, just another extension of the town's opportunistic underbelly. No, you thought, shaking your head. You tightened your cloak around you and started walking. The woods, wild and untamed as they were, felt safer than any inn in Rotwood. At least in the forest, the threats were honest. You turned back towards the path leading into the forest, leaving the faint glow of Rotwood behind. The woods welcomed you with their quiet stillness. The towering trees stretched high above, their sprawling branches interwoven into a canopy that filtered the moonlight into thin, silver streams. Solitude in the wilderness was far preferable to risking another moment in a place where danger wore a friendly face. It was tucked far enough away from the road to promise solitude, yet open enough to make a fire without worry. With a weary sigh, you dropped your pack, allowing the tension in your shoulders to ease. Your hands worked automatically, gathering branches and dry kindling from the forest floor. The soft crunch of leaves underfoot and the occasional snap of twigs were the only sounds accompanying you in the clearing. Soon, a small fire crackled to life, its flames flicking the air with a warm golden glow. The heat seeped into your chilled skin, easing some of the tension coiled in your shoulders. Shadows danced like fleeting phantoms along the edges of the clearing, their movements casting an air of mystique over the quiet forest. From your pack, you pulled out a small bundle of dried vegetables, their earthy aroma faint as you measured them carefully into your palm. A small pot bounced precariously over the fire as you filled it with water and stirred the mixture with slow, deliberate movements. Steam rose in lazy spirals, vanishing into the cool night air as the faint scent of cooking wafted around you. The rhythmic bubbling of the pot filled the silence, blending seamlessly with the occasional rustle of leaves stirred by the wind. Your gaze flickered toward the shadows surrounding the clearing. Even as you tried to focus on the soothing repetition of stirring the soup, there was a lingering unease prickling at the edge of your awareness. Something about the vast, open darkness felt alive, as though the woods were watching, waiting. As the soup neared completion, a sound broke through the quiet. You froze, the wooden spoon pausing mid-stir. The noise had been low, guttural, almost too loud to be yours. You instinctively pressed a hand to your abdomen, but the sensation was absent, and you convinced yourself it was nothing. A memory surfaced. So in that instance, you don't. You have to choose between ignore or to touch your stomach. Goes into the memory with Anselm. You settle down for bed. And that's it. Interesting. So, I forgot to save at the inn again. Try the third one. I don't know if they changed things or not. Now, I do kind of worry about what accepting the drink does. I'm not sure. You drink it anyways, and that's not necessary, and it was fine. So, maybe it's fine. Okay, sure. You swallowed your discomfort and nodded, deciding for now it was safer to play along. Clyde grinned, clearly pleased. That's the spirit, sweetheart. The barmaid returned quickly with 2 glasses of something amber and sharp smelling. Clyde handed you yours with a mock toast to new beginnings and lucky coincidences. You clinked glasses with a forced smile and took a small sip, the burn hitting your throat immediately. He watched you closely, eyes gleaming. See? Not so bad, huh? You've got a good head on those pretty shoulders. He leaned in, voice dropping to a murmur. You've turned more than a few heads, haven't you? I don't really. No need to be modest. I've got eyes, lamb. His smirk widened, eyes raking slowly over you. It wasn't a compliment. It was an evaluation. I mean, look at you. You're one hard to miss, lamb. Stunning. Alone. And just asking for trouble. I guess fate's finally on my side. He let the words hang in the air, testing your reaction. You didn't answer. His hand brushed yours on the table, fingers ghosting over your knuckles, testing your boundaries. Ugh. Gross! Tell me something. You've got someone waiting on you? You stayed silent a beat too long. No. It came out quieter than you intended. Clyde's grin sharpened. Didn't think so. A lost little lamb in a den of wolves. You put on a brave face, but I can tell. Robin's got you rattled. He leaned him further, his voice lowering to something almost intimate. But hey, you don't have to be scared. Not with me around. 1 second his hand brushed against yours. The next, his arm wrapped around your shoulders with the kind of ease that said he didn't need permission. He didn't even look at you. He already knew you wouldn't move. I can keep you safe. Real safe. I've got a place not far from here. Warm, quiet. You'd be treated real nice. That's not... I just needed a place to rest. You tried to keep the tremble from your voice. Clyde didn't seem to care. Oh, I'll give you rest, sweetheart. All the rest you need. His voice was smooth, practically purring, with the promise of more. He let out a smug little laugh, eyes practically glowing with confidence in your compliance. You don't have to play tough with me. I can make it so easy for you. He let his arm slip casually around your waist now, tugging you a little closer enough that you could feel the heat of his body next to yours. I want to scream. Let me show you how much easier things can be. His breath fanned your ear, and for a split second you felt yourself losing your composure. Only now? Oh, don't look so tense, lamb. I don't bite unless you want me to. You could feel his fingers play across your side now, possessive, blamed. Your drink sat untouched in your hand, the room pressing in around you. Before you could respond, the tavern door creaked and a lanky, anxious man rushed in, his clothes soaked from the storm. You spotted your companion immediately made a beeline for the table. Is this the same? Did you see him busy? It's the Royal Vanguard. He gets angry. The air hit you like a wall as you stepped outside, the silence unsettling a stark contrast from the storm you were expecting. Okay, so it's the same. Yucky! Okay. Yikes! So, there's something following the main character. Uh, don't know what. to, and then there's, I don't know if it's the same something or a different something that's trying to communicate somehow with the main character. But I'm so intrigued. And I love the artwork. And the scares and stuff. Well, the atmosphere is peak. And it made me unnerved and unsettled. I actually did jump in the forest with the faces and the handprint. I wasn't expecting that. It was interesting. Well, I really do hope that this project is continued. It's unfortunate that there was just some unkindness going on in the comments on the itch page, but it seems like it was for the most part resolved. Maybe it's just it's an indie project. It's a singular dev, I think, maybe, and takes a lot out of you. But I really enjoyed it, and I hope there's more. I did play the dev's other was it a demo or was it just a short game? I think it might have just been a short one. Um, called Prescription Love, I think. That one got me creeped the hell out. It really did. That one really made my skin crawl. It was good. And this was really good. And I'm looking forward to more of it, hopefully. It is a touch earlier than my usual scheduled time to end a stream, but I had a busy day today, and I'm feeling quite exhausted, so I might just end it here. So, thank y'all, and I will see you tomorrow afternoon at the usual 2 p.m. CST. Bye!